Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Growing Wild Farm and Garden, where I am in my house today because while it is spring and spring has sprung, it's a little chilly and I did not want to spend time outside running around things. So today I'm going to try something a little different. Um, I'm going to talk over some of the things that I've done here recently, and maybe you guys will just get snippets of when I do go outside and record some of the outside stuff, because I do want you to see it. I'm a very visual person, so I can appreciate if you guys are too. So let's just get started, shall we? So I have planted seeds for our sugar snap peas. I'm a big fan of sugar snap peas direct from the garden, but not all of my family is. In fact, the little one, for some reason, doesn't like them a whole lot. Like, he appreciates them when we're out in the garden and he might snack on one or two, but ultimately he prefers the super sweet 100 tomatoes. I haven't gotten any of the tomatoes or peppers out. It is still March. And in fact, the reason it's so chilly today is because we just had a cold front come through and it got down into the 30s. So I am itching to get my tomatoes and peppers outside, but I know better. They're still inside. They're still under their lights, but I don't have the best setup for that, and they're a little bit leggy. If you remember last year, I tend to have that problem because my light setup isn't the greatest, and I make up for it a little bit by planting them kind of deep whenever I do put them out in the garden. I will snip off some of the first sets of leaves and just plant them extra deep. That way, whatever does grow after that point isn't leggy. The great thing about tomatoes and peppers, actually, is that they will grow roots along their stem. So it works really great, and I get away with it that way. It still kind of takes away a little bit from the jump starting, if you work, because you're still having to take a plant that's not doing the greatest and then try to get it to catch up. But so far for me, it works, especially since I have the 2 growing seasons that we have here. Second, we have moved the garden around a little bit this year. I had sweet potatoes in some of the barrels, which I covered in a video that's somewhere. And we talked about in that video how the shade was probably to do with the lack of what I got. And I did actually weigh out what I ended up with, and it was still, I want to say it was 40 pounds. But it didn't feel like that much whenever I was pulling it. And so what I've decided to do is, instead, where I did have corn in front of the bees, which you'll see whenever I can show you some. We're going to put peppers and sweet potatoes. So, because of this wonderful little thing that you might have heard, nightshade plants, which are potatoes, peppers, tomatoes, ground cherries, nightshades, any of the nightshades, you're not supposed to grow those together for various reasons. Disease and certain things that they can trade amongst each other, pests and other things like that. But the wonderful thing about sweet potatoes is that they're actually in the morning glory family. So the more you know. You can plant sweet potatoes with peppers, and I'm going to try that this year. I don't know how that's going to go, but my idea is that the sweet potatoes will sort of mulch the peppers. So the ground underneath, right underneath the peppers, since the sweet potatoes will really just kind of trail over my drums, I'm thinking that it'll cover and sort of help keep some moisture in the roots of both the sweet potatoes and the peppers. So the sun won't reach the soil as bad, which might in turn help me actually get better peppers too. I don't know how the sweet potatoes will do. I don't know if that will take away too much root area for the peppers. I don't know if it'll affect how much area the sweet potatoes have. I have this tendency to think that it'll be fine. Let's see, what else? What else? The sugar snap peas, the peppers and sweet potatoes. Okay, so let's talk about the varieties of tomatoes that we'll have going. So I pretty much stuck to the tried and true this year. The the super sweet 100s, which is a cherry tomato that little kid loves to death, and our pineapple tomato, which is a sweet yellow kind that we enjoy for tomato sandwiches. We've grown both of those year after year with pretty dang good success. My paste tomatoes that I was trying to grow last year did not do well, so I didn't get any sauce or paste or anything like I had attempted, like that was my goal. It didn't work out last year. I've decided not to devote any space in the garden to those this year because I really want to be sure we get enough of our pineapple tomatoes, and we have enough room for peppers. So that leads me to another situation in the garden, which I will show you here. I will show you the snippet. Okay, so as you saw, there's just two trees, and we've talked about this in previous videos, but these two trees are just shading out the garden. And instead of trying to work against the shade, I'm just trying to avoid it, which kind of sucks. But I tried putting tomatoes underneath those trees last year. I tried cloning one tomato and putting it over there, and it never even produced. It never got tall enough. It put on flowers at the last part of the last part of our season. When I say that, I mean November, October, before it started getting really cold. And it had finally had flowers. And so it just wasn't getting enough sun. It just wasn't getting enough of probably anything. Along with what happened with the sweet potatoes under the elm tree that's out there, I decided it's just not worth the effort. Because if I'm just going to put the plant out there and I'm going to try and water it and take care of it, and it's ultimately not going to do anything, that kind of ruins the point for me. I like to grow things because I want to eat them or produce something from them. So if it's not going to produce, to me, that's a waste of time and effort. Not only that, but the resources I'm putting into it. So the space in my garden, the time that I'm physically putting into it, the effort I'm physically, the water that I use to water it, all those things are wasted if the stupid plant doesn't give me fruit. So that said, that's really all I've got today. I just sort of wanted to update everybody. How is everybody else's gardens going? Are you itching like me to put out something in the garden? Like, man, it's the struggle. The struggle is real every year, right? You really want to get your hands in that dirt and just start growing, but it's just not time. It is so not time yet. It's 51 degrees, I think, maybe outside today, and it was a low of 32 last night, which isn't terrible, but it's just not warm enough. It's just not warm enough. Where are my 70s? But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time on another episode of Growing Wild Farm and Garden. And until then, I just hope you grow something. Until then, guys, have a great rest of your week. Have a good weekend, and I will see you then. Bye!